work table where I'm working on the panels. I have to do them pretty much one at a time. The whole little mosaic world is right here. With mosaic, there's no way I can really figure out my design until I try it in glass. This is the project board where I was experimenting. Actually, it's a fairly simple approach. I started with this side. At first I had the red snugged up against the green. It looked great here, but when we hung it in the building, you couldn't see the red. It just disappeared. So I pulled it out so there's white between the green and the red. Just things like that that you never know until you actually try them and then go to the location and see how they work. The white turned out to be a little bit too bright for the location, so I transitioned over to a cream tile, 2 different cream tiles from 2 different sources. I don't want a flatness when it's on location, so I have a variation in the cream. These are all going with the carved wood sculptures that have a lot of brown, very warm tones. At the end, looking at this in the location, had this gold border. It didn't seem like it had a clean enough edge to distinguish it from the wall. So I tried dark brown next to the gold border. That still didn't work, so I tried a red line. That worked great. So that is what I went with. All of this took several weeks of work. So here's my stuff. Here are my blend of my ivory tiles. These are the green glass tile, the red tiles, different red tile, a ruler, the first tweezers. To get this waving line design, I cut them in half, and then to create these curves, I cut corners of the tiles off to make them flow in these lines. As you can see, I didn't use grout in this project. It's indoors, so it didn't need the protection of grout. I'm not a huge fan of grout because it adds another color, another texture, and sometimes it takes away a little bit from the dimensionality of the tiles themselves. Another little tool I use, a jeweler got me this, it's a jeweler's loop. Some of these little tiny spaces that I have to fill in towards the end of the project, I actually have to put on these very enlarging glasses. Last but not least, I always have my first aid kit handy. You do get cut cutting glass, but I'm learning to get cut less, but I keep the Band-Aids very close by. I'm Sondra Jonson, and this is my studio in Cambridge, Nebraska. This is a very old house that I bought, converted it into an art studio. Today I'm going to talk to you about a mosaic project that I'm working on. There are 14 mosaic panels that I'm making for a local church. The church had this series of carved wooden sculptures. They were made in Italy, very nicely done, but they didn't stand out in the church. I don't think the setting really showed the beauty that's in these carvings. I was commissioned to create mosaic background panels for these carvings, which I was really excited about, the challenge. Spent some time in the church, getting to know the interior decor and architecture. I decided to go as an arch shape. I used the arch because there are a few existing arches in the architecture in the church. I thought that would be good to make these look like they're in a kind of a niche. This is the way I started the project. This is about 1/3 of the way finished. I can show you here. This is the design that I came up with. And again, the vine that I decided on was something that would work with the stained glass windows, the color, and there was some florals, just thought it would look good together. Created my design just with colored pencil. So this is kind of my little Bible of this project, so I keep going back to it as I move on to each new panel. Second stage, done. Some of the panels will have a little extra symbolism in them, but this is the basic design. They all have a Roman numeral, a cross in the middle, 24 karat gold. I have about 5 different sources for my tile, including one in the Netherlands. The hardest tiles for me to cut are these green glass ones, and the easiest, fortunately, are the white ones because those are the ones I use the most. That patterning is a technique that's pretty ancient called andamento. Maybe doing a grid work of tiles. We actually let the tiles have a pattern and a movement and artistry all of their own. This one is just completed and we're going to install it today. Here's the finished product. And if you look closely, you can see waving line of the cream colored tiles and the patterns that it makes. I like the way I can make the pattern split as it does here at the bottom. It's a lot of work cutting the tiles, but I do it that way because it's so artistic. It really, as we looked at these, it really adds to the line within the original wood carving. Just sort of makes it more lively, brings out that movement of the very nicely arranged lines in their wood carving. So that is a finished product, and we are going to show you an installation in a few minutes. It's December 2020, and I'm just finishing the 14th and last mosaic panel of my project. I started the work on this project in the first week of May, but the early design work, the prototypes, the contract negotiations all took place in April and March of this year. So overall, it's been about a 9-month project. Now that all the panels but the last one have been installed, I'm able to assess how well this plan, my project, has succeeded. The introduction of the sequence of mosaic panels to the existing architecture of the church added a significant visual effect and had to be done in a way that enhanced the landscape of the interior space without conflicting or detracting from it. I think we walked that fine line successfully. The building, which was erected in the 1970s, has predominantly straight lines and crisp angles. However, it has 2 significant arch-shaped niches in key positions within the space. So I decided my panels with the arch shape that would repeat those niches, adding a rhythm that I thought would both soften the angularity of the interior and add an upward movement to the somewhat heavy architecture existing. We're here at St. John the Baptist in Cambridge, where these 14 mosaic panels will be permanently installed. I'm going to install the 3rd panel just right now. This is Father Kenneth Weirs, the pastor of St. John's. We've already put the hook in the wall, and Father's going to hang the panel.